Okay, so this is my second video on the Autophon E39. I shot already one video last night, but there was a heavy thunderstorm um, happening when I was making the video, and there were a lot of noises, a lot of interference, QN as amateur radio operators say, so a lot of static. And I hope today it's raining lightly, but it's nothing like the storm we had yesterday. So I trust reception conditions will be a bit better. And anyway, this was a good opportunity to explain a few more features about this very special radio. Why is it so special? Well, it's very rare to begin with. There were only 99 of them ever made, and probably not all of them have survived until our time, but they were taken care of by the Swiss Army because they were in use until 1963. These radios were made in 1939, 1940, and they were made for the Swiss Army. They were made by a company which is called Autophon, and there is a metal tag there where we can see the name of the company and the name of the city where these radios were made, Solothurn. This was an illustrious radio maker in Switzerland, which is gone sadly, and they had a few contracts for the Swiss Army, and they invented a number of interesting devices. There is, for instance, an automatic beacon, an automatic small radio that you carry with you when you are, for example, skiing in the Swiss Alps. So should you be unfortunate enough as to fall under an avalanche, that automatic transmitter will start sending a signal, so the rescue teams can find you quickly in the snow and rescue you. I am not 100% sure whether that was a patent from Autophon, but they made a number of these devices, and that gave them also a great reputation, and they saved many lives with it, by the way. And then they made, of course, home radios, very, very nice radios as well, very good looking radios. And then they had a few contracts with the Swiss Army. This one was developed in 1939 or 1938, I think they started talking about it, as the world was going crazy and there was an escalation of international tensions and politics were totally crazy, and the Swiss Army was probably in need of modern communication equipment. So they asked the Autophon company to develop something for them, something state of the art, where costs were no obstacle. And they came up with this idea of the Autophon E39, and we will talk a little bit about the characteristics. The most sort of outstanding thing we see in this radio is the tuning mechanism, is this dial. You see, it's a round dial with which you change the frequency of the radio, and this dial has some tiny windows with numbers, and as you turn the dial, the numbers in these little windows, they change. You see, now we see a number 140, we go down, and this very ingenious mechanism, this is not an Autophon patent. It's not an Autophon original dial. This was invented, and it was used first by the National Radio Company. The National Radio Company from Massachusetts, USA. They had, in those years, in the 1930s, a very, very nice radio receiver, a high frequency radio receiver, which was called HRO. And that HRO receiver was the first one that incorporated this particular tuning mechanism, which is called PW1. The HRO, I think the first one came out in 1934, 35, and it was produced until the 1950s or maybe early 60s. The latest HRO receiver that incorporated this PW1 tuning mechanism was the HRO 60, which was about the very best you could get back then. I got an HRO 60 here, you see. That dial is the PW1, which is the same used in the Swiss Autophon E39 of 1939. So the engineers in Autophon, they traveled to the US, and they asked for 99 of this, and that must have looked a little bit suspicious or strange to the national radio engineers. But anyway, you know, business is business. So they bought their dials, traveled back to Switzerland, and they developed these little gem. So the Autophon E39 is a single conversion receiver. In receivers of that era, or in later years, the signal received by the receiver was converted once or twice until you would get one signal with on the right frequency that you wanted to tune. That is what we call a single or double conversion super heterodyne receiver. This is a single conversion receiver that has some advantages. It is, in general terms, more sensitive than a double conversion, and it has some inconvenience as well. We have to take into account that this is 1939 or 1938 we are talking about, and of course there were limitations to radio technology. We cannot compare this one to a modern SDR radio or anyway a solid state receiver of the modern era. This was the state of the art in 1939, but of course, you know, it's very significant if we put it in the right context, but it cannot compete with a modern receiver. Anyway, it's fantastic, and it is special because of that matter. Here we have the mains plug. This is the voltage converter. You see, it works on 110 volts, 125, 145. I've put it on 220, though the voltage in my place is a bit higher. It's around 230, I think. This is the indicator. This serves different purposes. It measures voltages and the intensity of the signal received, etc., etc. Different controls of the radio, and this is the frequency, the main frequency change device. There's some cables here that I put for the antenna, but anyway, this little drawer here is where the coils for each particular radio band are. So these are okay. This particular one, as you see, it covers from 6.66 megahertz up to 15 megahertz, which corresponds to the 45 meter band up to the 20 meter band or about. This is coil number 3. But this receiver, the E39, covers from, I think it is 100 kilohertz, which is very low frequency, up to 60 megahertz, which is really high. That's bordering with the VHF band. So it has a fantastic coverage. And that particular band, this is 6 to 15 megahertz, but there are many others. These other bands, they are placed in a storage compartment here in the lower part of the radio. Let's open this. Okay. Oh, no. It's, yeah, these are the fasteners. So probably, there we go. You see, these are, well, you know, the other bands. If we take this one, for instance, this goes from 15 megahertz up to 33 megahertz. So from the 20 meter band to the 9 meter band. This is coil number 2. Something interesting is that every part of this radio is marked with the particular number of the unit. I told you before that only 99 of this were made. Well, mine is number 33. You see, type E39, number 33. So everything inside the radio is individually marked with the number 33, which is the number of my particular unit. Let's put this thing back where it was and close this one. Well, these are the fasteners, so these would not drop in a transportation. There are some lids that are fastened to these boxes, so these can be transported, for instance, on top of a mule, on top of a truck, and not, you know, to be protected during transportation. Here we got some spare parts for the radio. These are the kind of tubes, for instance, that this radio is using. These are called steel tubes, and they are quite interesting. They were made also in the 1930s. They were used in a number of German military radios. This particular one is made by Philips, and probably it was made in the Netherlands. There are some other tubes. For instance, these are the one. This is a Telefunken tube. I think, well, let's leave it there. But it's basically the same design. And something interesting about these tubes are the pins. You see, these pins, they are not straight. They have some shape. So when they are plugged in the socket of the tube, they are very, very firmly seated. So the vibrations of the radio, if used, you know, in a, I don't know, combat environment or something, will not alter the good contact that all these pins should make with the socket of the tube. It's very important that the tube is properly seated always, even if the radio is going to vibrate. There is another extra socket there. I mean, not socket, but a band drawer. And this one goes from 33 megahertz up to 60 megahertz, from the 9 meter band up to the 5 meter band. Again, number 33 for my particular radio. What else? Okay, here we got some cables that link. This box is a converter from 6 volts or 12 volts to 220 or 230 or whatever. So this is sort of a big transformer, you see, and through these sockets with these cables you connect this with the radio. You would connect some batteries to this unit, and then you would connect this unit with these cables to the radio, and then it would operate. What else? This is quite interesting. Some headphones, old style. I tested these, they work very well, because this radio, believe it or not, it doesn't have a loudspeaker. It only has 2 sets of headphones. So 2 soldiers or 2 radio operators could listen to the frequency, but there is no loudspeaker for everyone to listen. These grates, they look like loudspeakers, but they are cooling windows for the inside of the radio. There are many tubes there, so temperature builds up, and then it ventilates through here. But they are not loudspeakers. So what I did, not to be listening with loudspeakers, I mean with headphones all the time, was to connect these high impedance headphones input to a modern, I will tell you about this one, about this other radio later, but I connected to this amplifier, and this is connected to this old style military loudspeaker. Anyway, without any further ado, let's switch on the radio, and let's hope that there are not as many interferences and funny noises as there were yesterday. Let's see. This is the main switch. You see Aus, which is off, Ein, which is on. Ein with a straight dash, this means direct current, and this is alternate current. You see Ein with a sinus, and this is Ein with a straight line. So this is DC, and this is AC, and this is off, and this is off. Anyway, so let's let me see if the main power connector is on. I just switch it on. I have separate power connectors in my radio room. Put it up there and wait for a few seconds. The radio needs to heat up. Did you notice that this needle went to the right? This is because the tubes are now warm enough as for the radio to function. But this radio needs approximately 1 hour of warming up before it is totally stable. These, by the way, these are test knobs to make sure that the voltages in the radio are right. You see, there is a blue sector where this needle should go if I press this button, and there is a red sector where the needle should go if I would press the red button. So blue with blue, red with red. Red only if I was using 6.3 volts, meaning if I was using this unit, and blue if I am using the mains. So let's see. Okay, it works more or less okay. And now let's turn the volume up, and for that I need to switch on this tiny amplifier. Let me see if I got it right. Probably It's there, off, on. Okay, so now this thing is working. Put a bit volume there. I can hear already some promising hum in the loudspeaker. Put up my volume control and look for a radio station here. Now there is not as much noise as there was yesterday. Not too much activity for the time being. Propagation perhaps not too good. There is some faint signal there. Let's keep on trying. Okay, we got some signal there. Now, let me turn the volume down for a second, because you may be asking, so what frequency I am in? All I see is a little number there, which is like 430. This is the 420, so probably this would be around 430, 429. So what does it mean? Well, you know, what a mystery, huh? We are using coil number 3. It goes from 6 to 15 megahertz. And then what we do is we go to this tiny drawer and we take out the chart corresponding to this band. Okay, so this is for band number 4, and I turn it around. This is for band number 3, which is the right band. Okay, and this is number 430, right? So let's see what it means. 430. So 430 would be around there. Okay, so dark green. The colors are a bit faded. It's 80 years since this was hand drawn. A very accomplished draftsman has been drawing this chart, this calibration chart, with a lot of care for my particular radio. You see, number 33. So I go to 430, and I think this is the dark green, right? Dark green. I think it is this one. So 430. I go up this line, and this is the frequency. So what is the frequency then? Okay, I would go here, and the frequency is just below 14 megahertz. We are in 13.8 or something like that. I should look more carefully at the number of divisions that I've got here to know exactly what frequency I am in. But it can be done, you know. And of course, probably I should make myself some correction charts. I don't think this is going to be like dead on the right frequency after 80 years. But, you know, with a small chart with the deviations that I read on the different charts, I can know exactly where I am just by reading that number and knowing which band I am in. Let's see, the radio is still cold, so it's drifting. That's the station we were listening to before. Let's see if there is anything else. Not too much activity. Some funny noises. Oh, you know what? This is FT8. This is the 20-meter band. Okay, so this is an amateur radio band. Of course, this radio was chiefly designed for CW and AM for modulation amplitude and continuous wave, which means telegraphy, but it was not meant to decode digital modes such as FT8 or anything. But let's put it on. Let's put it on CW for a second. I think the CW control is this one. Probably we want to move a little bit on the frequency and see if we can catch. Okay, so this is an amateur radio signal. A ver, let's see. So we are decoding CW signals. Okay, so this is F5INZ, a French ham station. And this is F6DWI. This is another French amateur operating his radio. Nice signal, it's still drifting because the radio is cold. But anyway, let's go up this frequency to see if we can catch an SSB signal. This radio is not meant to decode single sideband signals, but sometimes with a bit of luck and playing with the controls of the radio, Golf 6 something, he said, didn't he? This is a British station. Golf 6 Victor Foxtrot Foxtrot. So that's right. This is a British amateur radio station. Calling CQ means calling anyone on the frequency who might be listening. So there is a bit of good propagation with Europe. And this is the let's see, different tricks to try to decode the single sideband. This is an Italian station, very loud signal. Anyway, this is already a very, very long video. It's 27 minutes or 30 minutes or something. I wonder if you were patient enough as to watch everything till now. And in that case, congratulations. I'm going to switch this thing off. Not to, and I am going to finish the video, but before, I would like to add that this radio was very much appreciated by the Swiss military radio operators. They found it was just fantastic when it came out, and they loved it. It was in use since 1939, when they made it, until 1963. By the early 50s, however, the Swiss army started wondering about the needs of even more modern equipment. And they commissioned the Autophon company to produce another one, a more modern and more compact receiving set. One of the inconveniences of this radio was it was very big and very heavy. So they came up with this little wonder, and this is the E627. I already have some videos about this wonderful receiver, but I will talk more about it some other time. The mighty E627. These two, they coexisted for a few years. And then the good old and heavy E39 was decommissioned, and this one was in use, I think, since 1952, 55 probably, until the 1980s. So this also had a very long and illustrious career. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. And thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Greetings from Spain. Bye bye.